In a quiet, forgotten town nestled deep within a dense forest, an abandoned hospital loomed like a dark monument to its tragic past. No one dared to go near it, for whispers of strange occurrences had plagued the townsfolk for decades. The hospital, once a place of healing, was now a labyrinth of shadows and secrets. Lila, a curious 19-year-old with a love for the paranormal, had always been drawn to the eerie tales surrounding the hospital. Her friends dared her to spend one night there, armed only with a flashlight and a voice recorder. Never one to back down, she accepted. The night was cold and heavy with fog as Lila approached the hospital's rusted gates. They groaned open under her touch, as if the building itself were welcoming her. Inside, the air was thick with decay. The walls were lined with peeling paint, and the faint smell of antiseptic lingered, a ghost of its former life. Her flashlight's beam danced over graffiti-covered walls and shattered glass. She turned on her recorder and began narrating. "This is Lila. It's 11:45 p.m. I'm entering the main hallway. There's an odd silence, like the building is holding its breath. As she moved deeper, she noticed strange details, faint handprints on the walls, discarded toys in the corner of a room, and flickering lights that shouldn't have been working. In the children's ward, a row of empty beds stretched before her. A single, untouched teddy bear sat on the last bed. She approached it cautiously. "Why is this here?" she whispered to herself, her voice trembling. Suddenly, the bear's head turned slightly, and a child's giggle echoed through the room. Lila froze, her heart pounding in her chest. Then came the whispers.
"Actually, you're absolutely gorgeous."
Low and indistinct at first, they grew louder, circling her like invisible specters. "Help us! Stay with us!" the voices pleaded. She spun around, but no one was there. Her flashlight flickered and died, plunging her into darkness. Panic set in as Lila fumbled to turn it back on. When the light returned, she gasped. The room was no longer empty. Shadowy figures stood at the foot of each bed, their faces obscured but their eyes glowing faintly. They stared at her, unmoving. "You shouldn't be here," one of them said, its voice hollow and resonating with pain. Lila stumbled backward, her recorder slipping from her hands. She turned to run but found the door closed and locked. The whispers grew into a cacophony, a symphony of despair and anger. "Stay with us. Stay forever." Desperate, Lila screamed and banged on the door. It swung open violently, and she tumbled into the hallway. Behind her, the figures stood motionless, their glowing eyes watching her every move. She ran blindly, her flashlight beam bouncing erratically. The corridors seemed endless, twisting and turning like a living maze. Doors slammed shut on their own, blocking her path. She was trapped. In her frantic escape, she stumbled into the hospital's operating theater. A single overhead light flickered on, illuminating an old, blood-stained table. On the walls were names scrawled in crimson, and Lila's name was among them. She screamed again as cold hands gripped her shoulders. She turned, but no one was there. The whispers turned into laughter, mocking, chilling, inhuman laughter. The shadows gathered around her, closing in like a suffocating shroud. The next morning, the townsfolk found the hospital silent once more. Lila's voice recorder lay at the entrance, covered in dust as if it had been there for years. Her friends pressed play and listened in horror. "This is Lila," her voice began, calm and steady. Then came the whispers, the screams. And finally, her voice again, distorted and haunting. "Stay with us. Forever." The hospital remains abandoned, but the whispers never stopped. And on quiet nights, passers-by swear they can hear Lila's voice, calling for help from the shadows.
"Help me!"